I would be very surprised if the cost of the MOT test was not increased. And I say that because the cost of the MOT has been capped at £54.85 since 2010. The MOT test takes about 45 minutes. So think about the typical hourly rate charged by a garage. Also, to maintain an MOT testing bay, there's a lot of expensive equipment that needs to be serviced and calibrated. And there are quite a few additional costs over and above the hourly labour figure. If we took the hourly rate of £70 per hour, which is not unusual for a lot of small garages, main dealers can double that and even go far in excess of that. But factoring £70 an hour down into a 45-minute MOT test, you're looking at just £52.50. There's not a lot of scope in there for making much of a profit. And it might force a lot of garages to be extra picky, to create work for themselves by spotting fails that would probably have gone another year. But by flagging it up, they can get the car in and get the work done. That's probably a cynical view, but let me know what your thoughts are on these companies that offer cheap, free or MOT tests and always seem to find something that needs doing. Since 2010, inflation has generally increased prices by about 45%. This would push the price of an MOT to about £79. And we've got to remember that this was a cap. The cap was intended to allow a bit of competition between garages to charge cheaper fees. And at the moment, most garages are charging the price cap because it's just not economically viable to charge any less than that. And a lot of the car dealers that I've been speaking to that have an MOT testing bay are really seeing that as a bit of a loss leader. They're not making that much money from it. And there's certainly a big demand out there for MOT tests, particularly at certain times of the year. If we were to service our car in 2010 and the cost would be, say, £120, the cost nowadays would be nearer £200. And on some of the bigger, more exotic cars, you can be easily talking 2 or 3 times that. The MOT inspection is also set annually. Let me know if you think that is a good idea or whether it should be less frequent than that, say every 2 years, or whether the MOT test should be dependent on vehicle miles. So every 12,000 miles, an MOT test has to be done because mileage is often a better indication of the amount of wear and tear a car has than its age. And with discussions about pay per mile, it may be a case that by making the MOT test more frequent and basing that on the mileage, if a driver does say 24,000 miles per year and has to do 2 MOT tests, that effectively would include an element of paying per mile in the MOT test system, and it'll also ensure that these cars that are covering high mileages are still roadworthy for a larger proportion of the year. We also have to note that MOT tests are not required until a vehicle is 3 years old, and actually at 3 years old some vehicles fail the MOT quite badly. I've even seen 2-year-old cars with faults that would have resulted in a fail at MOT time. Do you think it's fair that cars don't need an MOT for, say, 2 or 3 years of their life? There's certainly a big debate in the trade, and government are certainly reviewing the opportunities to charge the motorist. And it's quite likely, as I said at the beginning, I would not be surprised if the MOT test fee was increased sometime soon. And certainly talking to my colleagues in the motor trade, I'm seeing that a lot of them don't really like doing MOTs because it's just not a profitable part of their business with all the other costs that have been rising all the time. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please boot that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? We've got lots of great content planned and you'll be missing out if you're not subscribed. Hit that bell as well and make sure you get the notification of the new content as soon as it's released. And I've lined up this video and this playlist that you should find really interesting. Thanks for watching. See you in these next videos.